year was 1925. Helen Keller was attending a convention of Lions Club members at the time, and she asked the people in attendance to take up her cause by addressing preventable vision loss and hearing loss. And in the 88, 90 years since that time, Lions Club members have done a fantastic job, primarily of fulfilling one half of that promise, addressing preventable blindness. Tonight, we have an opportunity to hear a little bit about the other side of it, hearing loss. And I'm really pleased to have as our guest tonight and to introduce to you, our audience, Mr. Paul Ridings from All American Hearing Centers. And Paul, thanks for being here tonight.
Glad to be here, Doug.
To start off, why don't you tell us just a little bit about how long you've been in the industry and with All American Hearing Centers?
Well, I moved to Portland about 32 years ago, came out of the Marine Corps, and was fortunate enough to get right into the hearing aid business in this industry and been doing it ever since. I've been involved with manufacturing, mostly with retail. I owned my own business at a certain time, and I've worked mainly helping people hear better for 32 years.
So being in the Marine Corps, you probably had your ear chewed a few times and prepared you for this industry, is that right?
Well, that's true, but I was in aviation, so it was even worse than that, having my hearing hurt a little bit by jet engines.
Oh, wow. Well, speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about hearing loss. What are some, first off, what are some of the myths? Because I know there's a lot of misconceptions. I know I have some misunderstandings about hearing loss. Can you talk to us a little bit about these?
You bet. A lot of people think that their hearing is normal for their age. And while not really being a myth, it's untrue. You know, so is losing a little bit of your eyesight with age, but that doesn't mean you don't pursue eyeglasses. So, you know, I think that people should realize that hearing is important, and it's available. Better hearing is anyway.
So isn't it interesting that, you know, if my vision starts going bad, you know, I can deal with that. It may not be something that I'm happy about, but especially for men, if my hearing starts going bad, I might be in denial. I might, well, just simply not be honest about it. You see that at all?
You bet, but in defense of them, sometimes they're the last to know. Their spouses or their family members will realize much sooner that they have a hearing difficulty. And they might not realize it because hearing loss is so insidious, it sneaks up on us. And it usually takes 3 or 4 or 5 years for a person to admit that they have a hearing loss or to really recognize it. They'll think, oh, someone's mumbling, or they just can't hear clearly, or someone doesn't speak clearly. So I don't want to defend them, but they say they have selective hearing, or the wives say they do. It may not be so selective because they certainly have a problem hearing. They're not deaf. They're just hard of hearing, we would say.
In fact, I know that in past shows I've talked about our amazing research team that finds out some facts for me, and something that they made me aware of is that, if I understand it right, about 1 in 5 adults, once they, I think, get over the age 25 or 30 or so, actually have some form of hearing loss. Is that somewhat close?
Right. Of course, hearing loss will come on if a person works around loud noises. There are 2 main causes of hearing loss: working around loud noises and age, the aging process. You get them both working together, and hearing loss will come on sooner than it should. But yes, there's about 40 million people in the United States that have a hearing loss that needs correcting, almost 10%.
And, you know, what I can't help but wonder out loud about is, in the future, these kids that are wearing their earbuds and got the volume cranked all the way up, you know, how's that going to affect the percentage of adults with hearing loss 10, 20, 30 years from now? No question.
We're seeing incidents of hearing loss more and more, especially in younger individuals. And we tell them, you know, wear ear protection. It's the most important thing you could do. It's kind of like that old commercial, see us now or see us later. You know, wear ear protection and keep your hearing for as long as you can. Okay, so with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about the experience that one would receive when they visit a hearing professional. And I know that, well, we'll get into it a little bit. I know that All American Hearing has about 12 or 13 locations throughout Oregon. Right.
There's a presence, I believe, here in Beaverton. And we'll talk about All-American specifically in a little bit, but just generally in terms of the industry, what happens when somebody visits a hearing center to have an exam done?
Well, that's the most important thing, and that's our purpose in life, is to encourage people to have their hearing tested. But when they do decide to have their hearing tested or screened, we do that at no charge. And they come into us, and the first thing we do is to examine their ears, find out, physically with a video camera, look in their ears, find out physically how they are, if there's any problems that we need to take care of or refer them to a physician for. Then we actually give them a hearing examination, find out, first of all, if they have a hearing loss. Second, what kind of a hearing loss it is. Is it something that can be taken care of by referring them to a physician? Or is it like most of the things we see, about 95% actually, they have what we call a nerve loss or a nerve damage that is a permanent type hearing loss. And if so, we recommend correction if a hearing aid will help. And that's another myth that I might say, that many people say, boy, my doctor said I can't be helped because I have nerve loss, or my hearing loss can't be corrected. We, with our modern technology, with computerized digital technology, we can help most every instance.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more about the fact that these are basically miniature computers nowadays that are in our ears. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, this is probably as good a time as any to talk about that. I mean, the advance of technology and the effect it's had on hearing aids. So let's hear a little bit about that.
Well, probably the most important thing nowadays is that hearing aids are amplifiers. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference between some of the low-cost things that you see on TV and elsewhere, that the hearing aids nowadays are computerized, they have chips in them, they are able to amplify the sounds that a person needs. Because when we do the hearing examination, we find that most of the people can hear certain tones normally, but they can't hear other tones very well. This is what causes them to hear people but not understand exactly all the words. They might hear a whole sentence but miss a syllable, or hear a whole joke but miss the punchline. So we're able to correct that situation and have them hear as normally as possible.
Okay, so for the average person like me that really doesn't understand the complexity of the devices and the differences in the variation of hearing loss, I just need to ask you this question, because I pick up the newspaper from time to time, and I see these advertisements, and I'm not even talking about the hearing aids that are for a couple $100. I'm talking about, you pick up, I don't know, Parade magazine, and you'll see something about $19.95 or $20, and I think they call them hearing aids. What are these actually, if not hearing aids?
Well, they aren't hearing aids, Doug. If you look closely, they won't say that they're hearing aids. They are not regulated by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. They are personal sound amplifiers that do, as I alluded to before, they lift up all the sounds together. They are just amplifiers.
So they make everything louder.
Yes.
They don't necessarily allow me to pick out a conversation from somebody across the room. Everything's louder as opposed to what I really want to hear or need to hear.
Right, and as I mentioned before, you may not need all of the tones lifted up. You might just need some of the softer consonants lifted up, those higher pitches that make things clearer and easier to hear lifted up.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest that just because everything's louder, that doesn't necessarily make it better or do any good to my ear.
No, and you can prove that by turning up the TV. Many people will turn up the TV so their neighbors can watch it. Their neighbors know what programs they're watching, and they're still not understanding it. That's proof right there that many people, when they come to see us, they will say, Paul, I do not need loudness, I need clarity. And that's what a highly sophisticated hearing instrument today will provide, rather than lifting up all of the tones.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about then the benefits of a person with hearing loss, and they go into a hearing center, All-American Hearing, and they get outfitted with a device that actually is developed specifically for them and their level of hearing loss. What are the benefits that people get when they have a proper hearing aid that is equipped just for them?
Well, that's the satisfaction that we receive in being in this industry, because we find that people are hearing their spouses better now. They're hearing things that they haven't heard in years. The ease, they're not so tired anymore. There's lots of documentation out that says that that they can they're not so forgetful even. It's very interesting. I just received a letter today, in fact, from an individual, a mutual client, patient of ours and yours, who received hearing aids down in
oh, great! Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
In Roseburg, and it was just today too. I don't know what he was doing up at 2 a.m. this morning, but Dan wrote to us this, a big letter, but he said, I can certainly relate to the struggles people go through with hearing loss. I've always been involved with my grandchildren. They enjoy talking with me, but they became very hard to understand, and many other situations and environments became more difficult. I have to admit, I wasn't all that hopeful that hearing aids would be any easier to deal with, but I must say this. The aids I've been given are amazing. I'm back to normal conversation with the kids. Extra loud noise isn't extra annoying, like so many people with hearing aids experience. We find that, Doug, that's what we live for in our business, to be able to help people enjoy life again, enjoy their grandkids. We find that people start not going to club, they start not going to church, they don't enjoy their grandkids, and now they're able to do that. That's the satisfaction we get.
So what you get to do is actually enhance the quality of life for the people that come and see you. And they might be receiving a hearing aid, a little digital computer that goes in the ear, but it sounds as though, according to Dan from Roseburg, what they're actually receiving is a higher quality of life.
No question.
And that's fantastic. So being that, thank you for bringing that letter. That's fantastic. And that was actually sent today, as it turns out. So this is an opportunity to talk a little bit about the partnership between All-American Hearing and Lions Clubs here in Oregon. And I'm going to ask for the map to come up that shows, we're going to show you where, first of all, where all the locations of Lions Clubs are around the state of Oregon. There are about 175 Lions Clubs in Oregon. And in just a moment, you're going to be able to see that, you know, with the map of Oregon, they're pretty much in every corner of the state. So all the little blue pin dots that you see right there are our Lions Clubs in Oregon. And because of the generosity of All-American Hearing, they are able to help identify people in need financially that have a hearing issue and schedule appointments where you see the red stars there. Those are the All-American Hearing Centers throughout Oregon. So we've got you outnumbered a little bit.
You do.
It's about 175 Lions Clubs to about 13 All-American Hearing Centers. This program kicked off just this past July. And while here now we're getting into the holiday season, I do know that in the first couple of months, we were provided with a report of usage. And in just the first 2 months, All-American Hearing donated over $100,000 worth of exams and hearing aids. And thank you so much for that generosity.
You're welcome.
On behalf of all the Lions and people in need, we really are grateful for that.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure for us to do that too, and we're hoping to continue to do it.
It's great. And, you know, being that we're Oregonians, we'll also kind of, you know, brag a little bit here that this is a unique program here in Oregon. Well, maybe it's going to expand and grow nationwide. Was visiting with a Lions Club member from another state, and they don't necessarily have this type of a program in place. So, not to put any pressure on All-American Hearing, but we're just so honored that Oregon is the first state, to my knowledge, that this program, this partnership with All-American Hearing has been created and is a reality. And it's just great to help be, we're Knights of the Blind, but we also are Knights of the Hearing Impaired also. So thanks again for that. And if it's okay, let's talk a little bit more about All-American Hearing. Tell us about the locations that you do have. Where around Oregon are you?
Well, we're mainly up and down the I-5 corridor, except for maybe over in Redmond in Central Oregon. In this local area, we have an office clinic here in Beaverton. It's called Northwest Hearing Care. And then we have our other clinic with All American Hearing over in Clackamas. But we're Salem, McMinnville, on down Roseburg, Eugene, Medford, and Brookings.
So towards the end of the show, I believe we're gonna put a phone number up for those that are interested, paying customers, for those that are interested in scheduling an appointment or know of somebody that should be scheduling an appointment to have their hearing checked at All American Hearing Centers. And then in the next moment or two, I think we're also going to throw up, put up there a number of, if you know of somebody in need that is lower income, that's hearing impaired, and you want to request assistance, there's the number right there. That number is 971-270-0203. That's the Lions assistance line. You can contact that number or the email address that you see there. And you can also go to the website of the Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation. All three of those are ways to contact the Lions in Oregon, to submit a request for help, or to just simply make us aware of somebody in your community that needs help. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to help people that need help. And while we're talking about hearing tonight, we'll also put in a plug that people can be helped with health screenings, eye exams, even surgery, cataract surgery, corneal transplants. It's what the Lions do. And we are here to help. We're here to serve. And we appreciate you helping serve on the hearing end of it. So let's get back to hearing a little bit.
Well, we have also, if individuals want to find out where we're at, they can go to allamericanhearing.com to find the closest clinic nearest them, or the closest hearing aid office.
Sure. In fact, I know that we've got, I think we've got your brand that we can go ahead and throw up on this, put up there on the screen also. And in fact, why don't we have you, Paul, go ahead and give was it a website?
Yes, allamericanhearing.com.
So again, thank you for All American Hearing. You can go to their website at
allamericanhearing.com.
allamericanhearing.com, and I believe schedule an appointment at your local All American Hearing
That's
Center.
true.
And again, the name of the center here in Beaverton
is Northwest Hearing Care on 117th and Canyon Road.
So Northwest Hearing Care, right here in Beaverton.
Right.
And great. Okay, so it's also part of the All American Hearing family,
right,
if you will.
I wanted to mention what one of the things that we do in conjunction with your foundation is that in the past, you folks have been able to provide lots of help to individuals for forever. At least I've been aware of that, for forever, helping individuals hear better by getting donated hearing aids. The difference that we're doing now is we're able to provide those people with brand new hearing aids, state of the art, top of the line hearing aids. So we're just glad to do that, and hopefully we'll be able to do it. We're doing it all over the state right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be able to continue.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And so since you did, Paul, I'll expand on that for just a moment. So the Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation, which has been around since 1959, has helped people through its hearing aid bank program, which, as you just mentioned, is an effort made possible by people donating used hearing aids. And initially you think, oh my goodness, somebody else's hearing aid. But what actually happens is that these hearing aids are sent to our mutual friend, Ron in Vancouver, Washington, RJS Acoustics. And his employees there basically discard the exterior shell, and then they will upgrade the electronics to the specifications of a local audiologist or hearing professional throughout Oregon. And then they put a brand new casing on that refurbished hearing aid. And what the Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation does is they then buy that refurbished hearing aid for about $125 and then give it at no cost to a person in need. And let's say it just goes to, oh gosh, I don't know, the Roseburg Lions down I-5. The Roseburg Lions would pay for a discounted exam fee, hearing exam, for maybe $125. And so for their $125 and the Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation's $125, for $250, we've been able to provide somebody with the gift of hearing. These are pretty quality hearing aids. They come with, I believe, a 6-month warranty.
1 year, actually.
1 year, thank you. So it's been a really nice partnership between RGS Acoustics and the local Lions Clubs. It's been a good program. But
right.
now, think about it. Now, that same person, well, Dan in Roseburg, rather than spending donated and earned revenue of $250 for a used hearing aid, Dan got brand new hearing aids. And it didn't cost Dan anything. It didn't cost the Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation anything. It didn't cost the Roseburg Lions. It was a win-win-win proposition. So we actually still have the hearing aid bank going for Lions clubs that maybe can't get their person in need to one of the.
And we'd encourage to continue that, because
Sure.
there's parts that are needed. Those are always needed.
Yeah, so it's just kind of nice. We're serving more people. We're doing it more cost effectively. And yeah, the Lions Club that wants to help somebody with a used hearing aid can still do so, but then we're also able to help people with brand new hearing aids, thanks to you at All American Hearing. So thanks for mentioning that, Paul. I appreciate that. So again, back to hearing loss a little bit and hearing aids and the whole concept of helping people. We talked a little bit about the amplifiers and the things that are really, really inexpensive. And I think that some people make the mistake, understandably, of believing that this is the answer to my hearing. And then that's why some people are dissatisfied, because they didn't really buy a hearing aid. They bought an amplifier. But then there are also some of the big box stores that have these great deals on hearing aids. And while I've learned a little bit and have my own opinion on this, let's talk a little bit about the difference that I would get if I went to a big box store and bought one versus going to a hearing professional. And I'll just go ahead and say, versus going to All American Hearing. What might the differences be a little bit there?
Well, that's all we do. That's all we do is help people with their hearing. We don't sell anything else. We're solely testing people's hearing and helping people with their hearing. And we encourage that to everyone have their hearing tested. A lot of people haven't had their hearing tested. That's our goal in life, to have them come in, get their hearing tested so they know exactly what's going on. Most of the people that we see do not need hearing aids.
Interesting. Really?
But we'll screen them for no charge at all. And like you mentioned, many people do charge for that, and that's not how we work. I don't want to demean anyone who goes and gets their hearing checked anywhere or fitted with hearing aids. They've made a commitment, and they should be congratulated for that. However, doing something through the mail, it is not only illegal here in Oregon, or not working with a hearing professional, hearing aid specialist, hearing aid dispenser, or an audiologist is not the way to go when you're trying to correct your hearing. Now, if you just need reading glasses, you might be able to use one of those amplifiers.
Right.
But that's kind of the way we compare those two things.
Okay. Now, you mentioned a moment ago that not everybody that comes to see you actually needs a hearing aid. There's some other needs, some other issues going on in there. What can you?
Well, sometimes they need to be referred to a physician. They might just have a temporary hearing loss or a curable hearing loss. That's why it's so important to have the hearing screen to find out what kind of a hearing problem they have, if they have a hearing problem at all. Sometimes they're on the borderline of not. They might have a little bit of a hearing loss. They might be just starting that cycle of having a problem, of starting to misunderstand their wife or not hearing everything correctly, but they're not quite ready for hearing aids. And they just have to keep getting their hearing tested every year to track their hearing to find out when they are ready.
Sure. And we've talked about, of course, the person that's experiencing hearing loss, and those that don't address it, can become sometimes withdrawn and feeling left out because they can't hear a conversation. And so there's some social issues that can develop in addition to simply not being able to hear. Can we talk a little bit about that in terms of some of the deeper issues that result from being disconnected from the sounds of the world?
Yeah, unfortunately, some people are even diagnosed, or even people think that they might have dementia, and all it is hearing loss. There's been studies lately that some of the same symptoms of Alzheimer's are actually just like those symptoms of hearing loss.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, so yeah, it's sad in some situations.
So I think it would be fair to if not suggest, strongly encourage those with a loved one that perhaps is experiencing some symptoms of withdrawal, or maybe even if there's a suspicion perhaps of dementia. If your loved one hasn't had a hearing exam, this would be a great time to encourage them to do so. And again, you're being great about saying it doesn't really matter where they go to have it done, as long as it's a hearing professional.
You bet.
You're just strong. It sounds like you're strongly encouraging those of us to say, hey, you know, mom, grandma, grandpa, let's get a hearing exam.
Get it done. Of course, I'm prejudiced. I think that we have the best product. It's all.
Sure.
We're all American, so it's only made in America. We don't get any hearing aids from overseas. Not that that's totally important in this global economy, but we only handle American-made and owned products. And so, yeah, we're excited about what we do.
Okay, so let's learn a little bit about All American Hearing. Okay. I think you've been around for what, 7 or 8 years?
8 years.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the origins of the company and who is All American Hearing?
Well, we started about 8 years ago with just 3 individuals, and we started some hearing aid clinics and offices here in the Northwest, and we gradually spread across the United States, and we're in 28 states now and have about 300 locations. So we're a pretty large company. We're able to, because of that buying power that we have, we're able to not only be very competitive in our prices, but we're able to help a lot of people and hopefully have a good business model. We're able to be profitable and be able to sustain programs like this and be partners with entities like the great foundation that you have.
Sure.
And so that's our goal, and that's what we do.
Great. Well, it goes without saying that from a Lion standpoint, that we're very appreciative of helping people, and you provided a great example of how All American Hearing and Lions of Oregon partner together to help people. And the letter from Dan from Roseburg is an example of that. As we close our show today, I also want to encourage those of you that appreciate the role that All American Hearing plays in being a knight of the blind, so to speak. If you would like to learn more about Lions and how you yourself could help those in need, again, we had a number that's up on the screen that I think we're going to flash it up there before. There it is. Please call that number if you're interested in either help other people, if you're interested in maybe joining a local Lions Club. Calling that number or contacting us on that email address will give us an opportunity to communicate back to you. Or if you know of somebody in need, maybe they have a vision issue, maybe they have a hearing issue, feel free to utilize the number that's on the screen there. Again, it's 971-270-0203. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to be able to find out who in Oregon or here in Beaverton needs help. We'd like to be able to address vision issues, hearing issues, and continue to be Knights of the Blind. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.